Y'all still awake? That's good.
I think you did it right at the right time. Like right before everyone started nodding, you're like, all right, get up, stretch.
Yeah, get up, stretch. I needed to stretch. Yeah, I needed it. Yeah, I know it feels a little warm in this room, but I'm the one up here doing all this, so maybe that's why it feels warm. You guys all comfortable? Yeah. All right. All right, well, let's jump into page 24. Let's take a look at that, where we're at. We're going to talk about some I am nots. I want to look at notes and quotes first. You guys ever heard of George MacDonald?
Oh, yeah.
He is incredible. 1800s. He was from Scotland. Incredible theologian. He was an outcast, though, because he didn't fit in with the mainstream stuff. But he's got some great insight. He was the one that actually, C.S. Lewis, you guys heard of C.S. Lewis? C.S. Lewis calls him the master. So C.S. Lewis got his insight and his inspiration because of George MacDonald in a book that you read by George MacDonald that started C.S. Lewis down that path. C.S. Lewis was actually an atheist until he read one of George MacDonald's books, and it changed his life. So George MacDonald, if you ever get your hands on he does children's fantasy books, he does theology books, he does sermons, he does it all. But incredible stuff from George MacDonald. So here's one of his quotes. Notes and quotes, page 24. It says, "Foolish are those who would set the world right by waging war on its evils while neglecting their own character and conduct." He was very big on becoming mature children. He was big on knowing the Father and coming into a place of maturity with the Father, coming back to the Father's heart as a mature child. When we have children and they're little and they're growing, and then they leave, and then they do whatever they do, sometimes rebel or whatever, but the joy of the Father is when they come back to take over the family business because they've matured enough to take on the business. Father doesn't want to just give creation to us until we've become mature enough to handle creation. That's why all of creation is waiting for us to grow up and stop doing our little stuff that we do. It's time for us to grow up, and we grow up through union relationship face to face. And we're going to get a lot more into a lot of that tomorrow. We're just kind of laying foundation, building, and then we're getting some really good, deep stuff tomorrow afternoon. So let's go for the ride. This next quote: "Stop trying to calm the storm. Calm yourself. The storm will pass." How many times are the storms in our life because of us? Yeah. I got another quote in here from Mark Twain.
Or is that somebody else?
That's not a my quote. No, that's somebody. I don't know who that is. Yeah, sometimes if they're mine, you'll know they're mine. I'll put my name on there. I got last time I actually got, no, it was this guy over here gave me a hard time. The first time he came through and he got the book and he's reading through it and he's seeing all this quotes by Michael Heidel and he's like, who does this guy think he is? He could just quote himself in this book, you know? He's so full of himself. I'm not thinking, well, if I write that down, you might as well know where it came from, you know, because when you start spending time in a face-to-face, the revelation just starts coming. It changes you. You don't have to make the changes. The changes happen when you come into a face-to-face. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to start touching in on the face-to-face and what really transpires and what it does and how it affects everything. We change the world when we come into a face-to-face. Okay, we'll get to that tomorrow. All right, left-hand column. Your life is not an addition for the afterlife. Now is eternity. Identity to destiny. When the creature is who he is supposed to be, he doesn't think what he is supposed to do. He just does it. Quote by George MacDonald. We talk of wild animals, but man is the only wild animal. It is man that has broken out. All other animals are tame animals, following the rugged respectability of the tribe or type. G.K. Chesterton. Mankind is the only animal on earth that has forgotten who they are. That's why G.K. Chesterton calls them the wild ones. He says they're the only wild animal. A lion is a lion. A lion does what a lion does, because that's who a lion is. Humanity has forgotten who they are. They're the wild animal, because they don't know who they are. Genesis 1:26 through 27. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all creatures that move along the ground." What was lost in the garden was likeness, image, shadow of resemblance, likeness, ability, or similarity. So we maintain our shadow image of Christ, but lost our likeness ability. We stopped being Christ-like. Put it that way. In the garden, when they turned. Let us make man in our image. All right? Now you can see it. Here they are. Here's the conversation. Let us make humanity in our image and in our likeness. And then he made him in his image and likeness. And they resembled and they mirrored their father's image, because they were in a face-to-face with their father. And they mirrored his image the same way Jesus does. And then the whisperer, the serpent, the whisperer, that's what that means, by the way. The serpent means whisperer. You ever hear those in your ear? Did God really say? Is that really true about you? The whisperer is always whispering in your ear, trying to tell you something that's not true. The whisperer is the father of lies. If the whisperer is whispering, it's a lie. So the whisperer began to whisper in their ear, saying, "Oh, you're not like God. But if you eat from this tree, you will be." So he talked them into eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He talked them into turning from this face-to-face, reflecting their father's image and likeness, to turn to the tree to build themselves into the image of God. They were going to make it themselves happen. It now became, because let us make man in our image. Let us make mankind in our image. That's God talking. That's God saying, we're going to make mankind in our image. And then the whisperer comes along and whispers, and now all of a sudden Adam, when I say Adam, I'm talking about Adam and Eve. I'm talking about the two. Because according to Jewish tradition, the mystics, the Jewish tradition, when it says that, and from his side, from his rib, it says he took a rib and made a woman. What it really means is he took the female side out of Adam. So it left the male side. So the two are one, and then he took the female side of Adam out. So when I talk about Adam, I'm talking about both of them together, humanity. I'm not just talking about one person, that guy named Adam. I'm talking about humanity, Adam. Just to understand that when I start talking, I'm talking about humanity, Adam. So let us make Adam, in our image. This is God saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make you in my image. And then the whisperer comes. You're not like God, but you can be if you eat from this tree. He knows that once you eat it, your eyes will be open and you'll be just like God. So they turn from a face-to-face to the tree. And what happened? Now they began to make Adam in his image. Adam began to make Adam. And it was no longer God making Adam, it was Adam making Adam. So, we lost our likeness. We still had the image because we were made in the image, but we lost our likeness. We were no longer Christ-like. We were no longer doing Christ-like things. That's when the evil started showing up. Because now it was a fight for the fittest. It was like, why wasn't my sacrifice as good as your sacrifice? So that's when there was a murder that happened. That's when evil began to show up, is when Adam began to start building and creating and making Adam in his own image. So, I am not. Fill in the blank. So if you think about it, what he was saying was, you are not like God, but you can be if. That happened in the garden. And it has been passed down every generation since. When I come in, I don't care what room I come into. When I come into a room and I say, I am not, fill in the blank, everyone in this room has a word for that blank. I am not what? Valued. What else? Enough. What else? There yet. Rich. What does rich have to do with it?
Rich in heart.
I say, what is money going to change on your life? Yeah. So, I am not enough. I'm not there yet. About loved, important, adequate. Every I am not that you hear, you will start trying to compensate for that. Just like they did. You are not like God, but you can be if you eat from that fruit. So what did they do? They ate from the fruit. It is all through the world system. You are not strong enough, but you can be if you just buy this product. And then you buy that product and you find out you're still not. You're still I am not. Well, you got to get the new and improved version because it's better. And you're still not. Even for me in my life, I am not adequate. My story, real quick, my story. When I was about 8 years old, my parents had got divorced when I was like 3. And so my stepdad and my mom and my two sisters are half-sisters. But when I was about 8 years old, I was at my friend's house. And I get a call from my stepdad. You need to come home. So I go home. And when I get home, he says, your mom left us. Apparently, he had been having an affair. I didn't know anything about it. I was 8. Your mom left us. So my mom was gone, so now I'm with my stepdad. She came home a few days later, late at night, it seemed like to me, and she came home to get clothes to leave again. She didn't come home to get me. She came home to get clothes to leave again. And I was crying and so I wanted to go, and I couldn't find my shoe. And I'm under the bed, and I'm trying to find my shoe, and I can't find my shoe. I can only find one shoe. And she finally got ticked off and said, fine, I'll just stay. So I am not adequate. Because if I was adequate, she'd have came back for me and not clothes. I am not adequate. So, fast forward all those years later, I'm a pastor, right? I am not adequate, but I can be if I just do something great for God. So I'm a pastor. Guess what? It didn't fix my I am not. Because I was still not adequate. Because I still didn't know who I was. I still didn't know the truth about my being. I still didn't know where I was. I was still out here trying to find a way to get into that relationship. I didn't know that I was in this relationship. So I am not adequate. I am not important. I am not valued. I'm not enough. I'm not there yet. That's a good one, there yet. Because where is there? I don't know, but I'm not there yet. But someday, the greatest lie the enemy will use on you is delay and distance. Someday over there. Someday when we get to that point. Not now, someday there. And as long as the enemy's got you looking for someday there, you're never here. You're always someplace else trying to get there. When you begin to realize where you are, You stop trying to get there because you realize that you are here. Now is eternity. Eternal life is in the knowing, not in the going. It's not getting there someday. It is now here. So I am not. I don't care what room I walk into. If you came from Adam and Eve, you are dealing with I am not. Because it is rampant and it is a world problem. Why are there wars? Why is greed? Why is there so much fighting and evil going on? Because of the I am not. I am not, but I can be if I can just beat you to the finish line. I am not, but I can be if I just had your stuff. I am not, and I can't deal with it anymore, so I'm just going to get drunk, drugged, gamble, shop, whatever. I'm going to check out from life because I am not. I am not is the center core reason the world is the way it is right now. And it's everywhere. And when we start to realize where we are, we start realizing that we are not I am not, but we are I am. Here. I am here. I'm not trying to get there. I am here. Were you going to say something?
I was going to ask you a question. So you talked about using your story, leveraging your story as I am not adequate, and you talked about me being a pastor didn't fix that.
Correct.
When you use the word fix, are we talking like don't have to deal with it again, or are we talking learning how to deal with it again?
So the question is, me talking about I am not adequate, becoming a pastor to try and fix it, didn't fix it. So is it fixed or not fixed? Like, am I still with I am not adequate stuff?
Like, how do you come against that? Or do you still come against it, is the question.
Do you still come against it? I have a friend. His name is Bob. What about Bob? But anyway, so what about Bob? So let me tell you about Bob. So I began to download some of this stuff on him, the I am nots. We began to walk through some of the I am nots. Even in his life, he started coming up with the I am nots of his childhood and his growth and things. And so we were meeting like every week. We were meeting for coffee. And then after a couple weeks, we got together and he goes, you know what? He said, I think I'm through that I am not stuff. And I said, well, it's not noon yet. Give it a little time. He says, well, how do you know when you're done? So about the time you're walking on water, I think you're getting close. That's when you know you're no longer struggling with that stuff that holds you back. But that's all part of the process. That's part of the growth. It's not about arriving at a finish line. There is no finish line. It's all about the paradox of yes, no, both and. It's the I got it, no, I don't. I got it, no, I don't. Because what it's always about is the seeking. It's always about the turning back to a face-to-face. Always. It's not whether you maintain that and never mess out on that and don't always do it. But you're going to, because life is life. And you don't control people. And people are going to be in your life. And people are going to have their I am not moments. And they're going to take it out on you. And they're going to drag you through it. And so what do? You turn back. Every time. Walking this trail, I learned so much of this walking the trail by myself, talking out loud most of the time, getting stared at. It didn't matter. I was on a mission because I am learning this. I just want the truth, even if I'm the only one standing there. So I'd have conversations with Abba while walking the trail about this, what about this, what about this? And I would get answers. And I kept walking the trail and realizing it's not about crossing the finish line. It's about keep walking. Keep walking. Keep turning back to that face-to-face. If we think there's a finish line, then we've made God this big. Because you've reached the end of God. But there is no finish line.
So in just what I'm seeing the board and hearing your message, what you're saying, in turning back to Jesus, if you take out the not in that statement on the board there, every single one of those could be deemed true with your relationship with God.
Did you read ahead?
I did not.
Okay. You guys are like taking me further down the book than I want to go this quick. You guys are advanced class. Yes. So yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because when you start spending time, how do you know? How do you get this? Is it still adequate? Am I not adequate? Am I still dealing with it? Not like it was. It changes. The face-to-face, and I'm going to keep talking about the face-to-face because it changes everything. And tomorrow afternoon, we're going to get deep into what the face-to-face happens, what it looks like, how it works. We're building towards that. But when the face-to-face, it changes you, and you didn't have to change anything. I would come into the face-to-face, and we'll get to you in a second. I would come into face-to-face, and I would have my list. The thing about the face-to-face, you guys are really getting me out in advance here. The thing about the face-to-face is it says, we with unveiled faces reflect his glory. You have to have an unveiled face to reflect his glory, which means I have to put down my agenda. If I come with my agenda, I am not having a face-to-face. I'm having my face with my face. This is my agenda. This is me. This is me reflecting me back to me. And I would come to the Father, and I would have my list of things that needed changed. And nothing was changing. And so what you have to do is you have to put down your agenda. Forget what you want to change. You come in this face-to-face, unguarded, open, just not afraid of hiding stuff anymore. Well, what if he sees that in me? What if he does that? He's going to reject? No, he will never reject you. We'll see that tomorrow. He will never reject you. Never. Come to him in the unveiled face-to-face, and I would ask him to change things. And when I put down my list, what happened is he began to change the things that I didn't think need changed, and the things that I thought needed changed, he left alone. I was wrong on what needed changed, not him. And he began to change the things that I thought were okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I've started to see the truth of what it was that I had so brilliantly disguised as something good. We get so good at that. We got an image. That's why in the light prayer, I say, set me free. Be the light and set me free from my reputation. The first time that came out of me in prayer, I thought, I don't have a reputation. And then I hear him say, you have an image of who you think you are. That's a reputation. Whether anybody else calls you that or not, you have an image of who you think you are. Put that down. Let me reveal you to you. And when I started putting down my agenda, the change began to happen. And I didn't have to ask him to change stuff. It just changed. And my whole life began to change. Because what happens is when that change begins to happen, your desire changes for what is happening. That's why identity takes us to destiny. As your identity changes, the who you are changes. It changes how you are. But if I don't know that I can come here in this face-to-face, unguarded, unafraid, unashamed, unfig leafed. I got to get rid of my fig leaves. Remember in the garden, they took fig leaves to hide because of their shame? Drop the fig leaves and come into this face-to-face and have this relationship. And I'm going to go here real quick, and we're going to get here tomorrow, but I'm going to go here real quick. I was told this father turned his back on his son. Never happened. I was told this father cannot look at you because of sin. That's a lie. That's a lie. In the garden, they ate from the tree. They had been having a relationship with their father. They ate from the tree. They no longer saw him. We heard you coming, so we hid in the tree. Your translation says trees. It's singular, the tree. The very tree that they had been eating from is the tree they hid in, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the tree of judging. That's good, that's evil, that's good, that's evil. The tree of judging is what they've been eating from. That's where they hid in the tree. They took the fig leaves and they hid. And then the father comes and he says, Adam, where are you? Adam, where'd you go in there? Adam, where are you? Looking right at him. Adam, where are you hiding from me? And he says, we ate from the tree. Or he says, yeah, we ate from the tree and we are naked, so we hid. So we were naked, so we hid. And this father did not go, oh, I can't even look at you anymore because of your sin. What did this father do? Who told you you were naked? You look the exact same to me today as you did yesterday. You see yourself differently. I don't see you differently. You see yourself differently. Because that's why you're hiding in your darkness. That's why Jesus came and says, I have come as light so that you shall not remain in your darkness. We are blind as bats and we don't see. And everything that we do, we filter through the I am not glasses. Everything we do. You had a question.
Not a question. I wanted to piggyback on Alvin's question. That's a really good one. When we talk about the I am nots and the fixing the I am nots, right? It's kind of like the red card theory. The red car theory. When you have a red car, looking for a red car, all you see red car, right? After this class, you will see I am nots like no tomorrow.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So yeah, the red car theory. After this, you will start spotting I am nots in the grocery store, in the traffic. You'll start spotting I am nots in yourself, and you'll just start seeing them because now you will start knowing what it looks like.
And you start correcting them too, but that's not okay either.
Well, whose are you correcting? Are you starting correct? No, yeah, you don't correct other people's. No, you don't correct other people's I am nots. Let me say this: we're going to get into a lot of this stuff in more detail tomorrow. But let me say this: whenever you see somebody that it just drives you crazy the way that they do and the way that they act, you are seeing yourself in them. That's why it's driving you crazy. That's why you can't stand it.
That's why you don't want to hear them say
Yeah, that's why you don't want to hear it, because that is you. That is a reflection of you. That's why you recognize it. You see it in yourself. You don't like it in yourself, so you don't like it in them, and they remind you that you have it. So that's why we go to this face-to-face, unguarded, unashamed, drop the fig leaves, and allow it to change us so that we stop trying to poke. That's why Jesus says, don't worry about the speck in their eye. Take the log out of yours. The only reason you see it in them is because it's in you. If it wasn't in you, you wouldn't see it in them. So it's in you. So we are blind as bats. I am nowhere near the book. So let's go here. We're gonna get there eventually. You were created in your mother's womb. Just a little thing. Created in your mother's womb. Now, these I am nots, they hit you even while you're in the womb. You hear it. You feel it. You know it. If your parents were going through a rough time and they said, we don't have time for a kid. We can't afford a kid right now. You heard that. You know what? You begin to process, I am not. I'm not worthy. I'm not important. I'm not worth having. I'm not loved. In the crib, you hear it. First grade, kindergarten, you hear it, you hear it, you hear it, you hear it, you hear it. It keeps emphasizing to you. And every time you hear the I am not, you keep compensating. And it just begins to build your life around these I am nots. And everything that you come in contact with, you filter through the sonar of the I am nots. Everything, you filter through that. Doesn't matter what it is. You go to work, doesn't matter where you go. You are filtering it through the sonar of the I am not. And I say sonar because we're blind as bats. We don't see the truth. We are filtering it. And we're reading it. And that's why we're misreading it. And that's why we're thinking things are there that aren't really there. Mark Twain, a quote from Mark Twain, he says, I am a man that has spent 95% of my life going through troubles that never existed. That's a close quote. Right? I saw another quote. I love this one. I got to get this one. Is that 95% of the things I worried about never happened. See, worry works. Worry works. If I worry about it, it won't happen. Now, how much do we worry about that's not real? Because it's in our darkness. That's why I said when the light begins to shine on the truth, you see what is real. Okay. So we filter everything through our I am nots. And that means, for me, I'm just going to talk about me. The first marriage. All right? Guess what? Yep. Full of I am nots. And guess what? Yep. Filtering through that too. All the I am nots. Bounce off. I am not important, but I can be if you just did this. I'm not loved, but I can be if you just saved me. I'm not important, but I can be if I could just fix that. It's all about I am not, but I can be if. I am not, but I can be if. I don't know where I am in here anymore. Okay, the bottom of page 25 on the left-hand side. So we know that the I am not statements are not true. We know that. And yet, even a false statement has power when it is believed. So even though we know it's not true, if we believe it, it has power in our life. It sabotages our life. It holds us back. Causes us to make decisions that we wouldn't normally make. Causes us to just do all kinds of destructive behavior. Okay. Let's go to page 27. So let's go on the left-hand column there. The whisperer, the father of lies and twister of truths, persuaded them to make themselves, using their power, because we just finished talking about Genesis. They ate from the tree. They were making, now they were going to, Adam was now making Adam. Right? Because the whisperer convinced them, you're not like God. You're not in his image. You're not like God. When God just made them that way. So, yeah, they believed the lie and started making themselves. Using their power and understanding according to what they thought it looked like to be like God. A God of their own making, a false image of what they thought a God would look like. They were Adam making Adam. They thought they were making themselves like God, but instead, when the two ate from the tree, they instantly felt fear, anxiety, shame, and guilt. They instantly felt naked and afraid, so they started trying to use externals in a losing attempt to fix what they were feeling missing on the inside. The serpent had convinced them that they were not connected in likeness, union, and image to their very life source and sustainer, so they felt they needed externals to reconnect and unite them again to that likeness. They thought they needed knowledge of good and evil to be like God. The twister of truth has no new material. To this day, he continues his lies. His goal of stealing your true identity with whispers of I am not, the false identity, is his greatest weaponry. It then gets passed down from generation to generation to generation as he hopes that you too will clothe yourself with false I am not identity, giving you a fallen I am not destiny and journey. A false identity always gives you a false destiny. Wrong identity, wrong destiny. That's why we have got to come back to this face to face and understanding where we are and who we are in here, because when we know where we are, it changes who we are and changes how we are. But we have been convinced we need to change how we are. Change how you are, right? We're going to get into geek on Greek and we're going to talk about that word repent tomorrow. But we are told to change how you are. You can't change how you are until you know where you are, because you're constantly going around and around trying to figure out how to make it happen. But when you know where you are, it changes who you are. And once it changes who you are, you don't have to try and change how you are. That change is automatic. That just happens. You plant an apple seed you're going to get apples. You don't have to try and convince that apple seed to not grow peaches. You don't have to convince it anything. You just have to let it be who it is. When we come into this, we start being who we are at the core of our being. See, at the core of your being, I knit you together in your mother's womb. At the core of your being is God. I knit you together in your mother's womb. I have put eternity in your heart. You are not, and I've heard this before, but you are not a piece of crap covered by God's grace. You are God's grace covered in crap. Now, as you come into this face-to-face, what happens? This face-to-face is this begins to work out of your life. And all this I am not begins to change. When the child is healed, the adult is changed. The adult don't change until the child is healed. It won't happen. But when the child is healed, and there are some things in the child that go back to where you don't know where it came from. I found that in my own story. I don't know where some of that stuff came from. It was just affecting me. I am not. I don't know why I feel I am not. I just feel that way. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what happened in my childhood. We tend to block those memories out. So we don't know where it came from. But if my response is out of the I am not response, then I know it's there. You know how you can tell if it's the I am not response? There are only two fruits coming out of your being. There is the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. And there's the fruit of the I am not. Greed, anger, selfishness, me first, fight for it, fight for it, fight for it. You can tell if the I am not is speaking in your language or speaking in your life if you need control. I am not needs control. Why? Because I am not doesn't trust that Father. Because I am not needs to control every circumstance to make sure it comes out so that I'm not on the losing end of this. That's what the I am not does. So as you spend time in the face-to-face, all of this I am not, and right here's the face-to-face. Right here is the face-to-face. This is coming into that place where, so I call it face-to-face. Some people call it meditation. Some people call it listening prayer. Some call it breathing. So all the different verbiage for it. It's all basically the same thing. And the reason I call it face-to-face, because the Hebrew mystics didn't have a word for presence. The meditation, the contemplation, all of that stuff is about presence. It's about coming past you to experience God's presence in your life. So I call it a face-to-face because in the beginning was the Word, and you were created in the Word, and in the beginning the Word was face-to-face, which means you were created for face-to-face relationship. So when you come into a face-to-face, you are getting to your core being of who you were created to be. We go back to Adam. Let's make Adam in our image. Adam was created to be in a face-to-face with the Father. That's why Jesus, before on the night that he was crucified, his final prayer was, Father, I pray that they will be where I am. Not where I'm going to be after I die on the cross and rise again. I pray that they'll be where I am. Where was he the night that he knew what was going to happen? In a face-to-face with his Father. The only safe place he knew that even though this is going to be painful, even though this is going to be tough, I am trusting my Father to carry me through the storm. I'm not asking him to stop the storm. I'm asking him to carry me through the storm. Storms are inevitable. Pain is inevitable. Suffering and fear are optional. So let's do this. God, I'm all over the place, man. So here is what is. Here is what I want. You know what this space between what is and what I want is called? Suffering. When I don't have what I want, I'm suffering. The space between what is and what I want creates fear because it's not what I want. So how do I know it's going to turn out if it's not what I want? If I don't know the Father's character, I don't know that I can trust him. Son though he was, Jesus learned to trust his Father through what he suffered. That suffering is when you don't have what you want, you learn to accept what is. There's a saying in the ancient Jewish mystics, and that saying is, this too is what is best. That's coming to this place of saying, it's not what I want, but I don't have to be in control because I know where I am and I can trust my Father in the boat. I'm going to sleep even though the storm hits. I'm going to trust my Father that he sees the bigger picture and can carry me through even though I'm not in control anymore. See, when I always get what I want, who's in control? I am. When I don't have what I want, but I have what is, I'm not in control. And the great gap shrinker right there is gratefulness, gratitude. As you become grateful for what is, this want shifts. And but cancer, how can you be thankful and grateful for cancer? How can you say this too is what is best for the fires, for the loss, for all the pain, all that goes on? How can this be what is best? When you come into a place of gratefulness, you're not saying that I'm grateful for cancer. You're saying I'm grateful that I am here. And once you come to a place of being grateful there, you move from fighting what you don't have to fixing what is wrong. You switch from fighting it to fixing it. Jesus said, overcome evil with good. As long as I'm fighting the situation, it's my way or the highway. When I come to this place of gratefulness, this want shifts, and I don't have to be grateful for cancer, but I can be grateful for a Father that has a bigger picture in mind. And I can be okay. I'm thankful for what I have, not what I don't have on the want. Because what I want is not what I have. So that's what I don't have. But I'm thankful for what I have. And I move from fighting it to fixing it. And as long as you're fighting it, it's not going to change it. But now you move to that gratefulness, now it starts to fix it. Now you start having insight into something that you had no idea. It could be a total shift on, this way, not that way. It could just be a total change in your life that pendulum and shifts you in a different direction. When you come into the face-to-face, you step outside of your I am not. So this is I am not language. Want. I want it. I want to control it. I want to be in charge of it. So when you start becoming grateful for what is, it makes the shift. But to get there, you got to come here. You got to come into this face-to-face to get there. Because you can't let go of it until you trust this Father. You have to trust this Father in order to let go of it. Otherwise, you've got to control it. Okay? Okay. The word wicked. Let's go to the right side, page 27. The word wicked. Wicked, about a third of the way down. Wicked is being divided and twisted. And Satanas, the accuser, will twist the truth in an attempt to convince you that you are separated from God. Not only separated from your Creator, but the rest of your human family. He is trying to isolate all of humanity one by one to persuade them to walk under his influence. He has been doing it from the beginning, and his tactics have not changed. When we buy into the wicked or twisted lies of the serpent telling us that we are separated from God, we will always feel isolated, alone, naked, and afraid, just as those two did in the garden. Then out of that desperation, we develop fear, anxiety, insecurity, guilt, loss, shame, rejection in our internal world. It always starts internally before it manifests externally. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Our internal world always affects everything in our external world. Whether you know it or not, it's happening. You don't even know it, and you're putting that out because your sonar is reading out. It is going out for other people's sonar to pick up on. So if you go into it with the I am not, but I can be, if that got fixed, these people are sensing that too. And they're going, why are you trying to fix me? I don't need fixed here. So that sonar is going back and forth, creating problems. And it's like a pinball machine. Bang, 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 bang. It just goes around and around and around and around until somebody decides to go face to face and start changing the I am not, which then changes the sonar. But we've got to come to maturity to do it. Okay. Let's go to page 29. So this I am not always starts with I am. Always starts with I am. Then the whispers and the lies begin to develop the I am not. And that's so true. When you start coming into this face-to-face, this I am not begins to change. And I am valued. I am enough. I am there. I am rich. But it only happens in the face-to-face. And you can spot it. You can spot the I am not. Let's turn to page 31. Psalm 139 on the left-hand side. 139, 11 through 16. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. So was Abba including you in his story even before you started writing your own story? Did he include your version of your story in his version of your story? That's the good stuff. You know, it's a very weak God that has to control you in order for your life to turn out good. If he has to control you to make it turn out, then that's a weak God. But he's not a weak God. So even when you make those decisions and you hear the Holy Spirit, you know, you get those little gut feelings, those little nudges saying, don't go that way. And you're like, okay, and you go that way. And the Holy Spirit's like, all right, let's go. And the Holy Spirit just goes right with you. Because no matter how far into the deep darkness you go, as soon as you turn your face, who's right there? That means they went with you into it. They follow you everywhere. No matter where you go, they are with you in it. Even when you don't listen to them trying to tell you not to go that way, they will go with you down there and say, well, I've got plenty of time, 50 years. How much time do you want to waste down here? You know, when they're outside of time, time doesn't matter. They're just waiting for you to go, I'm so sick of this. And he lets us go and do our crap until we get so sick of who we are. We say, something's got to change. It's time to change. And you find yourself on this desolate road coming down this huge valley, and he captures your attention. And I went back and took a picture of that place. It's in the book. The place is called Disappointment Valley. And that's where I was. He lets us drive ourselves to Disappointment Valley. And he says, okay, whenever you're ready, I'm ready to talk. Whenever you're ready to let go of your agenda, we'll talk. Right, Romans 8:28 through 29. So we are convinced that every detail of our lives is continually woven together for good. Continually woven together for good. For we are his lovers who have been called to fulfill his designed purpose. For he knew all about us before we were born and destined us or sealed us from the beginning to share the likeness of his Son. This means the Son is the oldest among a vast family of brothers and sisters who will become just like him. Now, wait a minute. Have you guys read that verse before? What did that say? Verse 29, for he knew all about us before we were born, and he destined us from the beginning to share the likeness of his Son. You were born to be in a face-to-face. He's destined you to be in the likeness of his Son, his mature Son. That's your destiny. But we get so caught up in our I am nots, and we start trying to Adam make Adam, Adam build Adam, Adam form Adam. Trying to protect, we're trying to defend ourselves. See, here's the big thing. One of the big things that crossed for me when I began to realize that I was there and not out here trying to get there. When the situation was like this, when it was Father, Son, and Spirit, and I'm out here, who's got my back? Who's watching out for me? And when you start having trauma in your life as a kid, nobody's got my back. When my mom left me at 8 years old, you know what my thought was? I still remember that. I can't trust adults. Can't trust them. My life at that time took a shift because nobody had my back. If I would have known at that time that I was in this relationship, I'd have known who had my back. And we all go through it. We all get caught up in it. Have you ever said that? Who's got my back? Who's watching out for me? Because if nobody else is, it's on me. Now I got to do whatever, manipulate whatever to make it happen, to protect myself from it. And that's what we do. So let's look at page 2031. Ecclesiastes 3:11. He has made everything beautiful in his time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Right? Right here. Eternity is right here. God is deeper in you than your crap. He's deeper in me than my crap. All this darkness, we get so afraid of facing the crap. We spend all of our time trying to make the surface look good. And it just keeps more crap, more crap, more crap. Whereas if we would just go through that crap to the core of our being and drop our guard, then I am would start to be an influence in our life that would change everything. without us trying to make the change happen. It just happens. 2 Corinthians 4:6. For God said, let light shine out of darkness. Made his light shine in our heart. Where? In our hearts, to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. Where's the light? Shining. Darkness, right? This is darkness. And the light is shining out of darkness. Deeper in you than all of your crap is Christ. When you know where you are, you can start finding it, searching it, seeing it. It is in our turning, top of page 31, right hand. It is in our turning to face the Father that we see his light. The shadows only come in our turning away. He never turns away, never. And as we hold the gaze with him in an unveiled, no agenda, face-to-face embrace, we realize we can't screw it up past his ability to make it right. He's that good. I was thinking about doing a podcast one time. This is funny. I was going to do a podcast. I was thinking, I got to do it. And I just kept didn't do anything. But I'm thinking, I got to get this on a podcast somehow, do something. But I wouldn't do anything to do a podcast. But I got to do a podcast. And then I'm in the kitchen, and I'm getting ready to start doing dishes, and I think about the podcast, and I'm not doing it. And then I hear, from over my shoulder, you don't trust me. But then I interrupted God. I said, you don't trust? I said, no, that's not it. And then he interrupted me. He said, you don't trust me. He said, do you actually think that you are more powerful than me? Do you think your ability to screw it up is greater than my ability to fix it? You think you're more powerful than me. And then I started laughing, and he started laughing, and it was a good time. And I realized, I can't screw it up beyond his ability to fix. My job is to come into this face-to-face. My job is to stop pretending, to stop trying to hide from him, be honest, and just keep turning back. Even when I screw it up, turn back to the face-to-face. Keep turning back to the face-to-face. He's not wanting perfection. He doesn't want us perfect. He loves us just exactly our little screwed up mess. He loves it that way. No, I won't go there, not yet. Okay.
That's your way of keeping us intrigued, huh?
Well, it's not because I don't want to get too far ahead and then have to come back and then am I going to say something that's not there yet? And so Matthew on the right hand side there, Matthew 8:23. They all got in the boat. Oh, we talked about this. In the storm, be still. So right below that, faith doesn't calm the storm, fear does. Faith rests during the storm, like Jesus did, trusting that Abba will deliver you through the storm. Fear cries out for it to be stopped. Now, you ever seen those levels? The bubble levels, and they're actually called surface levels. And there's the bubble sits right in the center, and there's like a little circle right there, and you can tell how it's level like this. And when you got that bubble right in the center, then you know it's level. And so what we tend to do when the storm hits, we fight the storm. We tend to lean in to fight the storm. And what that does is that puts the bubble out of balance. What Jesus did is he focused on keeping the bubble balanced in a face-to-face. Keep the bubble balanced. And then when the storm blows in, it just moves you without affecting you. If you read the story when they got in the boat and he stopped the storm and then they were on the other side, the storm was probably blowing them to the other side quicker. So you don't know what the storms are doing in your life. When you focus on the face-to-face, you focus on keeping that union, that balance. Just focus on the balance. Don't fight the storm. This too is what is best, is focusing on the balance, not fighting the storm because it's not what I want. So the bottom of page 31, last paragraph. When fear begins to rise in my soul because of storm, I know I'm off balance because I have turned my face towards the storm to fight the storm. So see, when fear begin to happen, I'm turning to fight the storm. I'm fighting the storm. And if you're fighting the storm, you're suffering. When you become grateful for where you are in the bigger picture, you begin to trust this Father that He's got it. The storm just blows you where it blows you because there's something there waiting for you. He's that good. We don't think He's that good. We don't think He's that good. We think, oh, somebody else, but not for me. It's because you don't know who you are. If you're thinking it's somebody else but not you, it's because you don't know who you are. You don't know how important you are in Him and how unique you are to His story. You are His story. And He's writing you into His story. And we write ourselves out of His story. And He writes us into His story. And we write ourselves out because we keep going back and forth between what is and what I want, and what is and what I want. And we keep chasing that, and He just goes right with us. He never gives up. He never gets tired. He just keeps going. Okay, let's turn to page 32. Okay, I'm going to look at the notes and quotes, page 32. The chief thing that separates us from God is the thought that we are separated from God. Okay. Yeah, I was going to talk about this. This isn't in your book, but I was going to talk about this. So pain is not optional. Pain is going to happen. It's going to happen. So pain is not optional, but fear and suffering are. Love dispels fear, and acceptance eases suffering. This too is for the best. Because when God said, let us make mankind in our image, who's doing the making? So that means when I come to the place of saying, this is for the best, this is what's best, I'm giving permission back to this Father to make Adam. As long as I'm fighting it based on what I want, now it's Adam making Adam. Because I have my image of what Adam's supposed to be like. But when I become grateful in the face-to-face, then I'm allowing this God to make Adam. Yes?
What did you mean when you said pain is not optional?
Pain is not optional. There's always going to be pain. Always. There's always going to be pain. So pain is not optional because we live in a fallen, broken world. And so we're trying to escape. And that's our problem in this country. We try to escape pain. We don't like pain. That's why the pharmacies are full of stuff to avoid pain. That's why we get into addiction, because we don't like the pain. The pain of the I am not. The I am not causes pain. The I am not needs control. Now, if this I am not needs control, and this I am not needs control, and they are in relationship, who's getting the control? If they're both striving for control, there's going to be pain in this. And you know where the true pain comes from? The true pain comes in letting go of the need for control. That's painful when you're not in control anymore. And that's the pain. The pain is not optional. There's going to be pain. Even Jesus, son though he was, learned obedience through suffering, through the pain of this too is what is best. Because he gave his Father permission in his life to lead his life. And he didn't have to be in control of it. So, the pain and the suffering, and I talk about the paradox, and I talk about it's not the perfection, I talk about it's the constantly turning back. There is no finish line. Because what it is, it's a working together with Father through pain and difficulties which causes our growth. Alvin, you spend time in the gym. You ever felt pain coming out of the gym? I feel pain right now. But that's where growth happens.
I seek it, actually.
Yeah, seek the growth. So when we constantly avoid the pain, then there's no growth. It's that going back against it. It's knowing and trusting that we are loved by love and accepting the bigger picture of our participation in humanity's growth and maturity. As we grow, we don't just try and hide from the pain. Okay, page 33. Left hand, second column. One of my mentors just told me, that guy used to just tick me off sometimes. He was not an easy mentor. He would tell me, just put a rubber band around your head and snap out of it. It's like, okay. So you're saying it's my fault that I'm in this mess? He's like, yeah. You know, he said, no matter where you go, there you are. You're the problem. Fix the problem. You're the problem. No. They're the problem. There's only two beliefs in this world, mine and the wrong. So it's got to be them. But he was a tough mentor, but man, I learned so much from him now, now that I'm older. But here's what he said. He said, until the pain of remaining the same is greater than the fear of change, we don't change. That's why pain is inevitable, because the pain is causing us to change. If you're sitting in a chair, like I know you guys are, bless your hearts. If you're sitting in a chair and if you're sitting there in that same position for too long, you start to feel the pain of that position. What do? You shift. You move. You change. Pain is there to tell us to change. Pain is inevitable. Fear and suffering are optional. We don't have to suffer. We can just change. So pain causes us to change. So the space between what is and what I want is called suffering. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Why do you feel the need to change? Only something purer than itself, inside of itself, can call it to be something purer than it already is. That's a George MacDonaldism. So the reason you know that there needs to be a change in your life is because Christ in you is telling you there's a better way. There's only something purer than yourself is going to call you to move into something else. Until the pain to remain the same. Until we know that there's something else, we're not going to go do something else. Until something inside of us is saying, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this. Then we go and we start seeking that more than this, which causes us to change. Oh, wow, I skipped a whole bunch of pages there. What page are we on, 33? All right. One, two, three, just about halfway in the middle on the left-hand side. To agree to the change that Abba is asking us to undergo requires trust. It requires trust in Abba and trust in the process. To undergo the change Abba is asking us to undergo requires us to lay aside everything we think we know, to lay aside everything that has gotten us to this point, and to trust our Creator to carry us through the storms, because on the other side of the storms are where we find eternal life. Pain is not an option. That's how we get to the other side. The storms are what get us to the other side. Now, do I enjoy watching my daughter suffer? Do I enjoy watching my wife suffer? No. Do I enjoy watching what they get on the other side of it? Yes. So now what do? Do I rescue them from it? If I rescue them from it, I've just taken away that which they would have had from going through it. So what do? I pray that they see it quicker and respond quicker. They turn to the face-to-face so that they will find the answers quicker. So that they will find the answers that I have found sitting in these chairs. And that's what I pray for all of you. I don't want you guys to suffer, but I want you to have what's on the other side of the suffering. And it's the suffering that brings us to this place of seeking a face-to-face. It's in the suffering that we finally turn to God and go, okay, this ain't working like this. Let's try it your way now. That's what brings us to this face-to-face. And I will tell you this Father will allow any kind of suffering it takes in your life to come to a face-to-face. You know, my daughter walks away and doesn't want to talk to me or whatever. Whatever suffering it takes to get her to turn and come back and talk to me. Okay, let's do it. Because I want her talking to me. I want her coming to me. Your Father wants you going to Him. He doesn't want you hiding from Him. He wants you running to Him. But you got to figure out how to trust Him. So I had a conversation, and it was like, you ever had this in the household growing up? You broke something, and was your first thought, oh, crap, Dad's going to kill me, and you hide? Or did you say, oh, I broke that. I better go talk to Dad about this? You know, your response. Well, that's the kind of relationship your Father wants. When you break something, He doesn't want you hiding from Him like Adam and Eve did. He wants you running to Him. He wants you to not have any fear. But we have that fear of like, oh, what's He going to do to me? How's He going to affect me? What's He going to say? He's not going to love me. And He wants us running to Him. But we have to have trust in order to do that. All right, turn to page 35. We're going to end with this right here. Okay, 34, the quotes on that side. You are not flawed, just not finished. You're not flawed. A flawed thing has no value. It was created that way. You are created to be finished. So wherever you are in your process, you're not flawed. You're just not finished. So what do? Come into a face-to-face for the finishing work. Keep coming here to be finished. That's the relationship He wants. Okay, 35, top of page 35. Now, let's just stay on 34. There's good quotes here. Francois Dutoit, light always dispels darkness effortlessly. A renewed mind conquers the space that previously occupied by worthless pursuits and habits. So I say, stop blaming the devil and start blaming the darkness. Let me tell you, if we were to, when the sun comes up in the morning, what does the darkness do? I ain't going nowhere. I'm staying right here. The light shows up and the darkness just, it's gone. Like it wasn't there. So we can fight it, the darkness, or we can just sit in the light. And the light will dispel the darkness. And in fact, if we were to come into this room, let's say it was all dark, and we're saying, well, we are going to go take a look at darkness. And so we grab a light, and we come in here, or we come in and we flip the light on to look at the darkness. What happens? There is no darkness. As soon as the light shows up, there is no darkness. The only thing you will see is what was hidden in the darkness. The darkness tries to hide the truth. The darkness tries to get you fighting the darkness. Be the light, and the darkness dispels. But if I can fight it, what did Jesus say? Overcome evil by fighting it. No, He said overcome evil with good. You overcome darkness with light. So walk in the light, even as He is in the light, then you will have fellowship one with another. You are the light. Be the light. Seek the light. Spend time becoming the light. Spend time in this face-to-face, and it begins to change this darkness that we are wandering in, and it begins to change that darkness, and it begins to reveal the truth about what is in you that has been hidden in the darkness. Spend time in the light, and the light will reveal what was hidden in the darkness. And then you begin to see the truth about your being. Begin to see the truth about who you are. About your true identity begins to show. And you begin to walk in that without having to change anything. It changes because light changes darkness to non-existent. Don't have to fight it. Okay, page 35, left-hand column. It is in those feelings of abandonment, when we turn from our face-to-face, in those feelings of abandonment that we disappear into self-destructive lifestyle of self-preservation. Who's got my back? We become bastard children without a real father, rejected and abandoned with no true identity. See, if we go back to the fact, this really gets me on how we have said this, that this father turns his back on his kids, turns his back on sin. Well, the thing is, he does not turn his back on sin. He does not turn his back, because if that was the truth, let's say this is sin, if I bring sin into his presence and he has to turn his back, whoever has sin is more powerful than God. I can now chase God around the room because I have what he can't be around. I can now chase him out of the room. Now I have power over God because I have it. That's why this father never turned his back, because there is nothing more powerful than him. If sin made him turn his back, then whoever has it can make him leave. You can't make him leave. He's there. Does that make sense? So that's why this father, and that's why the feeling of abandonment that we go through, and that's why he's talking about, it's in that feeling of abandonment, because we have been told this father turned his back. Well, that makes us bastards, because this father abandoned us. This father rejected us when we were born. He never turned his back. We were born in this family, and he didn't turn his back on us. Now I know I can go to him, and I can trust him, because that feeling of abandonment, because of that feeling of abandonment, we disappear into a self-destructive lifestyle of self-preservation. Who's got my back? We become bastard children without a real father, rejected and abandoned, with no true identity. We become self-centered, self-protecting, unaccepting, critical, frantic, nervous, driven, depressed, cynical, hypersensitive, moody, and hesitant. Do you know anyone like this? And it's not their fault. It's the message we, the Western Christian Church, have given them that has caused them to feel and act this way. We have told them that this father has abandoned them. We've told them that they're bastard children. We've done that. Out of this rejection and abandonment, we develop coping strategies and reactions for survival. It's our survival mechanism. Blind and deaf in a dark, twisted, scary world, we have learned to survive any way we can. When we have been told that our Father is mad and has rejected us, that he won't even look at us because of our sinful behavior, we feel that we are alone and that no one has our back. So we must fight to protect ourselves. And when something scary happens, we go into survival mode. Self-salvation. I am not, but I can be if I can save myself by my own actions. We go into medication. I am not, and I cannot bear it, so I will do anything to make me forget the pain. Denial. I am not, but that's okay because I don't have a problem. You have the problem. Fix me. I am not, and it's your fault. You're responsible for how I feel. I will blame you for my lifestyle. Confirmation society. I am not, so I will only hang out with those people who are just like me. We will tell each other that we are all okay, and we will not let anyone in who doesn't agree with us. Sounds like some churches. These become our default settings for surviving the abandoned mentality, a mentality that tells us our Father has turned his back on us and rejected us, abandoned us, and wants nothing to do with us, which leaves us feeling hopeless, afraid, and angry. Look at the world around us right now. and tell me that that is not the driving force behind all of the greed, hatred filling our planet, causing wars and high rates of crime, addiction, and suicide. Whenever trauma happens, what do? We retreat to our default survival settings, our false identity. This false identity is what we have layered over our true identity throughout the years of being in survival mode. Our true identity is not something we learn or put on. We simply let go of our false identity to discover that our true identity was hidden at the core of our being all along. It's in our DNA, our divine nature attribute. It's that river of living water flowing from our innermost being. It is the eternity that Abba put in us at our beginning when he knit us together in our mother's womb, knitting us together with that identity and destiny he chose for us in Christ before the creation of the world, when he was calling us to be holy and blameless in his sight, with a love that predestined us for maturity as true sons and daughters in his family. So the lie that's caused all the problems, saying that this father turned his back, rejected humanity. When we begin to see this and know where we are in this, we feel safe enough to come to a face-to-face where our identity is, or the truth of our being is in a face-to-face. That's where we were created to be, in a face-to-face. But we are the ones hiding because we've been told he's rejected us. That's why we've got to solve the father problem. We fix the father problem, and we fix all the problem. Let's pray. Abba, we thank you and praise you for your goodness. Lord, just help us to understand. Help us to see you the way Jesus sees you. Help us to just walk in that and trust in that. And Lord, help me to be able to get this message out. Just open our ears to hear what you are saying. Go with each one here tonight. Bring them back safely tomorrow. Protect their families and their loved ones. And help us to learn and to let go of what we think so that we can start trusting you with what is. Thank you and praise you through Christ Jesus. Amen.